Well, what's up, guys? It is Carly here, bringing you yet another installment to the Weekly Dose of Horror, and today I'm going to be talking about the movie American Poltergeist from, I believe, the year 2015, and the plot of this movie is you have this group of kids, I believe they're college-age kids. They decide to go to this house and use it as a vacation home for the summertime, and while they're there they learn that this is actually the legendary Lizzie Borden house. It is where the murders occurred back in 1892, and then in 1992 apparently more murders occurred in the house, and now here they are years later, and some stuff starts to happen, and one character kind of learns somehow she is connected to all this, and this group of kids is kind of trying to survive this, I guess, you know, spirit that's in the house, this spirit of Lizzie Borden. Now, the reason I have this movie is because back in 2015 or 16, one of those Christmases, my mom picked me up a portable DVD player, and along with that she got me Insidious 3, and then she got me this film from Walmart, and this is quite literally just one of those Walmart titles. I'm sure you guys all know what I'm talking about. There's just this section of Walmart where they have all these really generic films. A lot of them happen to be like bad rip-offs of movies that might be out currently. Like, I know right now there's a movie called like Pet Graveyard, and then when The Nun came out there was a bunch of Nun rip-off movies and so on. And then you also have just regular generic movies, hence this film right here, American Poltergeist. That title is super basic and doesn't really explain anything about the story that you're going to get into, and the cover art is also has nothing to do with the actual film, and I always find it funny that cover art for these movies is always like the best part of the films, and the actual movie is usually trash. But with this one, I remembered it's kind of good for the most part, because I did watch it whenever my mom got it for me, and I remember thinking it was pretty generic, and at the time it was when I kind of just started getting into collecting horror movies, and I had not really seen a lot of really bad low budget films. I'd really only seen movies that I really enjoyed and had seen many times before, or just the good classic stuff from back in the day, so I wasn't really familiar with these low budget films so much. So back then I think I could recognize that it wasn't that great of a movie, but to me it was just like, it wasn't that bad. Watching it now, I can say this movie is pretty bad. The acting is pretty bad in it. It's not the worst I've ever seen for a film like this, but for the most part it's not too good. The way the film is shot as well is, it's not the worst. I've definitely seen worse quality movies than this. This one actually looks like a legitimate movie when you watch it, but for the most part it's not great. The audio is okay. That's probably maybe the weakest, but other than that, the plot is, it could be an interesting plot. It's a kind of cool idea, I guess. I mean, Lizzie Borden, that story always creeps me out and fascinates me, and you kind of have this, like, I guess it's supposed to be the ghost of Lizzie Borden in the movie, and in some points she looks kind of creepy, but for the most part the just effects are pretty bad effects. I guess it would, I'm pretty sure it's CG quality, so it's definitely not that great. It looks really cheesy at some points, and you have sort of this main woman character in here who I guess runs the house, and I was confused the first time around, and even now I'm kind of confused on what she even was. She like kind of gets possessed by this Lizzie Borden ghost in the movie, and I guess it's kind of her job to kind of suck in this other girl who's somehow related to the Borden family, but I don't know if I missed something, or if it's just not well explained in the movie. Obviously probably not, since I've seen this movie twice and still don't really understand fully what's going on. But the other characters in the movie, I mean, they're okay. They're just pretty generic and forgettable. Once stuff starts to kind of pick up, and the ghost starts doing tracking them down. It kind of locks them in the house and stuff like that. It goes really fast, and it's kind of just way to the point, and just not very well executed at all. It's very just fastly done and not effective, and it feels like there's a lot of downtime in this movie before you get to anything interesting, really. But and then the ending of it is pretty cringy, honestly. Like, the very last scene is just this really stupid line, and it's just not that good of a movie. Like I said, the first time I watched it, I probably gave it a more passable score because I just wasn't familiar with too many bad movies. Arguably, you would think that would make me give it a worse score because it would probably be one of the worst movies I'd ever seen at that point. But you know, even now, like I said, movies that I've seen that are low budget and kind of bad and don't really have big actors or anything like that in them, this probably isn't the worst. Like I said, it's filmed okay, and the acting isn't too horrible from some of the actors, but other actors it's pretty cringeworthy, and dialogue is alright, but for the most part, it's not something I would recommend. Like I said, it's just one of those generic titles that you pick up at Walmart, and sometimes they can be hit or miss. For the most part, I feel like these movies are all misses, though, and you know, it's definitely not that great. Like I said, the Lizzie Borden character ghost thingy is kind of creepy at times, but it looks pretty fake for the most part. The score in the movie is pretty bland as well, so this one I only give a 3 out of 10. Definitely not one that I would run back to anytime soon. I never really would have watched this movie again if I wasn't doing this series here, but yeah, so 3 out of 10 for this. Don't recommend it. Actually, the funny thing is, I think there was a part 2 to this in stores a few months ago or weeks ago or whatever. It might still even be there. I remember it was at Walmart for a long time, and I was always kind of curious if it was the same idea or if it was supposed to be another type of haunting movie, or if it, you know, had anything to do with this movie at all. But of course, I don't really have any intentions of picking that up because I'm sure that is trash as well. So definitely don't recommend American Poltergeist from the year 2015. But as always, thank you guys for joining me for this week's Weekly Dose of Horror, and as always, I will see you for the next one.